Good morning, people. This news is a few days old, but I had to comment on it. Liam Robertson, a reporter with some insider contacts, had some info into how the facial animations at BioWare were really bad. First, we find out the facial animations for humans were outsourced by other EA studios. According to a report by gaming historian Liam Robertson, BioWare apparently had all facial and character animations outsourced to other EA studios. That by itself is fine. This saves time and money. The problem is quality. Who was evaluating the deliverables here? What life cycle did they have? Who prioritizes what tasks? Who gave the final okay? This then becomes a problem with management, and whether a senior or even a lead animator modeler or a QA lead raises this sort of issue. And if these issues were actually raised, like, hey, this animation looks kind of bad, we should probably redo them, and they file a ticket, and then nothing gets accomplished or solved, then yeah, this is definitely a management issue. Then it gets weirder. Robertson, who stated he spoke to several BioWare employees anonymously, noted that the company used new cybscan technology, which created digital scans of a person or object that is used to create 3D models in-game. According to Robertson's sources, BioWare relied heavily on cybscan instead of using artists to sculpt faces internally, believing that cybscan would compensate for time for development. Now, that doesn't make too much sense. We can see several faces from the face gen or character creator phase throughout the Andromeda game. That's what BioWare is known for, having all these faces that can be customized. It makes total sense to use those faces as models in the game. That's cool. But there's also no way Sarah Ryder was face-genned and untouched. This is obviously a modified face-gen or some different face from scratch. They paid to use a model's face. They face-gen that face, then ship that off, or the data of that face, to another studio. But that's just the face gen and modeling. That's not animation, which means there was no quality control or testing to say that this was in fact a good product. It was also, according to Robertson's sources, not a cost-cutting issue. Robertson noted that the BioWare management team simply saw no need to polish the animation with the in-house team. One artist also claimed that they actively went out of their way to offer their services to do additional work on the human character assets and were turned away. It was the opinions of the sources who stated that the management in charge of the whole process did not see facial animations as a high priority for the game, and instead had the in-house team focus on other assets, including vehicles and armor, for further polish. If true, this meant that most of the animations on launch were largely untouched from the cyberscans, and that BioWare's own in-house development team was not allowed to touch them up. One source believed that the reason the cyberscans were not modified was due to internal pressure within both BioWare and Electronic Arts, pushing for more realistic-looking human characters. Robertson stated that an artist suggested that there are sensitivities within the company about representing women in a certain way. Well, obviously, Sarah's cyberscans were changed if this is the result you got. It is important to note that while there is a PC corporate culture involved in BioWare, it is not one that has been mandated by the staff. Robertson clarified with Techraptor, noting that meetings between EA and BioWare have taken place regarding their games being more inclusive and diverse. Let me repeat that. Noting that meetings between EA and BioWare have taken place regarding their games being more inclusive and diverse. They try to be very, very careful about respecting their audience and messing that stuff up, he stated, which implies it is less of a mandate by EA or BioWare and more of a constant worry about getting it right for the whole audience. It doesn't really matter what the mandate is. It doesn't matter what political ideology or nonsense you've got going for you. Sarah Ryder, as a cyberscan or modified scan or whatever, looks fine. It's when she opens her mouth, she has facial expressions that don't make sense, or any series of dramatic scenes that don't connect with what's going on and what's going on in her face. That's the problem. Shepard may have been a stoic, static soldier brick, but at least we weren't confused when they did express an emotion. Now I can say directly, as a result of BioWare's PC corporate culture, we got this. And that's fine. BioWare can turn a female model into an okay-looking female. They can do that. I've not a problem with that. But I'll bet you, with a more attractive model, let's say a Liara, Ashley, or Miranda, while these facial animations would still be a problem, they wouldn't be as big a deal. There'd be less exaggerated eyes and lips, there'd be a tighter bone muscular structure, and you go from something less exaggerated Disney princess-like to something more attractive and human-looking. BioWare's always been trying to get that almost photorealism look. It's a stylized reality, if you will. But you still need someone to quality control the damn cutscenes. The posture, the faces, the eyes, all of that. It has to be looked upon with several eyes and gone over with a fine-tooth comb. Now, why do I care about this? Because Mass Effect is about fully voiced dialogue within interactive conversations. That's the damn selling point for me. It's not just about aliens and science fiction and shooting things. It's about melodrama, whether that's good or bad. People talking in a scene about whatever. Mass Effect was the first to do that properly, or at least on a very large scale. It just happens to be in a futuristic science fiction space. If you screw that up, you screw up the delivery of the entire narrative. And I wish to go back to the days of KOTOR, where they just simulate mouse moving while Jennifer Hale's Bastilla sounds and looks totally fine, and we can easily forgive the animation department because they weren't trying to make it look perfect. If you screw up where you're supposed to have choices with weight with them, or at least the illusion of that, then I can't take the scene seriously. I can't take the narrative seriously. I can't take the whole darn experience seriously. It pulls you out of the experience. Here's the example of a PC culture from BioWare trying to make women less attractive and unprofessional people in charge. This produces a final result which is shoddy, lackluster, and sometimes even broken. It second guesses the artists who know what beauty is and how to make it, all for the sake of a political agenda and mediocre, if not non-existent standards of quality. Boycott this game. You deserve quality products and should experience better stories.